Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. There are certain films that begin as a cult movies and eventually grow into something much larger, such as films that audiences revisit repeatedly because each viewing reveals something new. Fight Club is one of those rare films. What initially looked like a controversial movie about underground fighting slowly evolved into a film with deep psychological exploration of identity, masculinity, isolation, and the emotional emptiness of modern consumer culture. Directed by David Fincher, the film follows an unnamed narrator played by Edward Norton, a man who's emotionally drained by routine office life, insomnia, and a world increasingly defined by material possessions. From the very beginning, Fincher represents modern life as a sterile and repetitive. The narrator's apartment looks more like a furniture catalog than a home, reflecting how disconnected he has become from himself. Edward Norton's performance is one of the film's greatest strengths. His narration feels exhausted, sarcastic, and quietly desperate. You immediately sense that this is a man losing his grip on reality long before the film openly reveals it. Now, then comes Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt. Tyler instantly changes the energy of the movie. Confident, rebellious, charismatic, and unpredictable. He represents everything the narrator wishes he could become. Pitt's performance gives Tyler an almost hypnotic presence, making it understandable why the narrator becomes drawn into his philosophy. Now, what makes Fight Club so fascinating is how the relationship between these two characters slowly evolves from friendship into something psychologically disturbing. The film explores how frustration, emotional repression, and dissatisfaction with society can manifest into something destructive. One of the most striking aspects of the film, especially noticeable in the 4K presentation, is the cinematography. Watching the movie is in a higher resolution makes it clear how carefully Fincher actually uses close-up shots, dark lighting, and stylish framing to tell the story visually. Many scenes are intentionally shot in tight close-ups, forcing the audience into the narrator's unstable psychological space. Faces, bruises, sweat, cigarette burns, and expressions all become more detailed in the 4K. Now, these are not simply stylish visuals. They reflect the narrator's fractured perception of reality. The cinematography constantly reinforces the emotional state of the characters. The camera glides unnaturally through rooms and objects, creating a surreal feeling that reality itself is unstable. Fincher's visual storytelling quietly hints that something is deeply wrong long before the major reveal actually happens. The famous fight scenes are another reason the films really remain memorable. Now, what makes these sequences effective is not just the violence, but the emotional desperation behind them. The men fighting are searching for release, identity, and a sense of feeling alive in a world that emotionally numbs them. The gritty visual style benefits tremendously from the 4K upgrade. Shadows feel deeper, textures sharper, and the neon lit interiors more atmospheric. The dirty apartments, underground basements, and industrial environments gain a level of detail that enhances the film's raw energy. Another important character is Marla Singer. Played by Helena Bonham Carter, Marla actually feels emotionally broken in many of the same ways as the narrator, but unlike him, she doesn't hide it. Her chaotic honesty exposes the narrator's contradictions and creates some of the film's most unforgettable and emotionally revealing moments. One thing that becomes even more interesting when owning the 4K Steelbook edition is how thoughtfully the artwork connects the movie themes. For example, the Steelbook focuses heavily on soap imagery, particularly Tyler Durden's role as a soap maker and seller. Now, what's fascinating is that in the actual movie, many viewers, including myself, might initially overlook those brief scenes where Tyler casually opens a briefcase filled with soap bars. Now, it really feels like a small detail during the first viewing, but later you realize the soap represents one of the core ideas of the film itself, which is destruction, cleansing, reinvention, and rebellion against consumer society. I never expected that subtle visual element to become the central focus of the Steelbook artwork, but in retrospect, it perfectly captures Tyler Durden's underground philosophy and the hidden mechanics behind Fight Club's entire operation. Now, the inner artwork of the Steelbook is also impressive because it captures several electrifying moments from the movie rather than relying only on promotional images. It feels carefully designed around the film's psychological chaos, dark humor, and underground aesthetic. For collectors, this is one of those rare releases where the packaging itself genuinely feels connected to the storytelling and emotional identity of the film. As the story progresses, Fight Club constantly evolves. It actually begins as a satire about modern life, transforms into underground rebellion story, and eventually becomes a deeply psychological film about fractured identity and mental collapse. David Fincher's pacing and editing are exceptional throughout this movie. And the movie continuously drops subtle clues that reward repeat viewings, making the 4K release even more worthwhile because many hidden details becomes easier to notice now. When Fight Club was released in 1999, it received mixed reactions from critics and audiences. Some praised its bold themes and visual style, while others criticized its violence and controversial ideas. Commercially, the film was only a moderate success at the box office. However, the movie actually found a second life through DVD and home media, eventually becoming one of the defining cult films of its generation. Today, many audiences recognize it as a far more than a provocative film. In fact, it has become a reflection of modern anxiety, loneliness, and the search for identity in a highly commercialized world. Now, compared to many psychological films of the late 1990s, Fight Club stands apart because of how aggressively it combines visual style and with emotional storytelling. Now, every close-up, every shadow, every camera movement contributes to the narrator's struggle with reality. Now, this is really like a school book for cinematographers and also for storytelling. Now, I don't know, maybe that's why this film still resonates today. Now, beneath the violence and rebellion, I think actually lies a story about people desperately trying to feel something genuine in a world that increasingly feels artificial. The 4K Steelbook edition doesn't just preserve the movie. In fact, it enhances the experience of understanding how carefully crafted David Fincher's vision truly was. From the stylish cinematography to the symbolic artwork design, this release feels like a fitting collector's edition for one of the modern cinema's most influential psychological films. Now, this movie is a must-watch.